Welcome back to another edition of Mindset Monday here on the Architect Fitness YouTube channel. My name is Tony, and today we're talking about the scale, the good, the bad, the ugly, and why you shouldn't worry about it if you don't see the number going down. A few years ago, there was a huge push in the fitness industry to abandon the body weight scale. Coaches and personal trainers were telling clients, don't worry about what you weigh, only worry about how you perform and maybe how you look and how your clothes fit. And honestly, it's not terrible advice, but I'll be the first to admit that I was one of these coaches and I was wrong. The first thing I want to say is I do think there has been an overemphasis on body weight in the modern age of fitness. Even in 2019, the debate rages on whether or not body weight or fitness, as defined by some other means, is the most important factor in health. Here's what we do know. We do know that being heavier, whether or not that weight is from adipose fat tissue or lean muscle, can have some negative consequences. But we've also seen people who are clinically overweight or even obese have absolute picture-perfect health aside from their weight. And we're talking about blood pressure, heart rate, cholesterol, fasting glucose, you name it. Exercising can have a positive impact on all of those risk factors for mortality rates like heart disease, diabetes, and even cancer. Of course, while all of us have that stuff in the back of our mind, there is a large majority of people who are exercising for a bit of vanity. They want to look better naked. They want to look better in their clothes. They want to have a better sex life. They want to be more attractive. All of that is valid, and I'm not here to tell you what your goals should be or what your motivation should be. But what we're going to talk about is why the scale is extremely important, but why you also shouldn't read too much into it. Now, what does the scale tell us? The scale tells us basically our relationship with the Earth's gravitational pull. It tells us the sum weight of all of our tissues in our body. And that means body fat, muscle, bones, organs, and even water weight, since our body is comprised mostly of water. If we lost body fat and all of the other tissues and elements in our bodies stayed exactly the same, theoretically, the number on the scale would decrease. But there's a small problem with that. Our tissues don't stay the same, especially when we're exercising and changing our nutrition. So when you go to the gym and you're lifting weights and you're training your muscles, yeah, strength training is great for building muscle, but you're elevating your heart rate. Your calorie expenditure is increasing. You're burning more calories. That's going to also help burn body fat at the same time. And if you're new to strength training or you haven't done any in a while, you can actually burn fat and build muscle at the same time. So here's a question for you, and I've asked this before in previous videos. If you gain 5 pounds of muscle and you lose 5 pounds of fat in the same amount of time, how much is your weight on the scale going to change? And the answer is 0. And in fact, this is really difficult to do. We usually only see this in 3 scenarios. Someone's new to working out, someone's coming back after a long layoff, or third, someone's using performance-enhancing drugs like steroids or human growth hormone. Most advanced trainees, whether they're training for aesthetics or performance, have to go through cycles of what are called bulks and cuts. During a bulking cycle, you're focusing on gaining muscle mass under the premise that you're also going to have to gain some body fat along with it. During a cut, you're losing body fat as your primary goal, but you're also acknowledging the fact that you're probably going to lose some lean muscle mass as well. If you're gaining muscle and losing fat at the same time, you are living the dream. And it drives me nuts when clients complain about this. They say, I feel better and I think I look better and my clothes fit better and my waist is smaller, but my weight hasn't gone down. I don't think it's working. And I just want to strangle them. Oh, it makes me so mad. So trust me, if you are having better fitting clothes, if you've measured your waist and it got smaller and your weight hasn't changed, that means you have achieved a scientific unicorn. You have gained muscle and burned fat at the same time, which science from a physiological standpoint doesn't even fully understand how that can happen. But it can happen, and it's awesome when it happens. But let's get back to talking about the scale. Here's why the scale is important, and here's why I was wrong about steering people away from weighing themselves. First, I want to say that pushing people away from the scale came from a good place in my heart, and I know that all the other coaches that discourage people from weighing themselves felt the same way. And the reason was, and this is particularly true with women, people are taught that the scale is the most important number, that you have to weigh a certain amount, that weighing less is better, that the less you can weigh, the better you're going to be. And that's obviously not true. You can certainly be overweight, and if you're overweight, you do want to reduce your body weight. But if you're normal weight, you don't want to go any lighter, because a lot of the negative effects that you can have when you're overweight, you can also have a ton for being underweight as well. And what happened was a lot of people, and again, especially women, were starting to place moral judgments on themselves based on the number on the scale. And what I would often say to clients is, look, you might get to your goal weight and not be satisfied with how you look. You might not be satisfied with how you feel when you get to your goal weight. So instead of making a number on the scale your goal, why don't we focus on a particular look if you want to be leaner? Or why don't we focus on a specific performance measurement? Because that's a more tactile way of measuring if you're making improvements or not. But here's why I was wrong about it. If you have, let's say, 25 pounds to lose, just as an example, if your diet and nutrition plan is set up right, you will lose some muscle mass as you lose that 25 pounds of fat. But if you're doing it correctly, you're going to mitigate your muscle loss. So if you've mitigated your muscle loss, then you're going to lose mostly just fat. So again, most of the other tissues are staying the same. So you should see that scale number coming down a bit. There's a couple other distinct advantages to weighing yourself. Number one, scales are cheap. Number two, scales are super fast and easy to use. And number three, like I said before, if you have a significant amount of weight to lose, you're going to want to see that number come down for health reasons. Now, before we go any further, let's talk about how to appropriately weigh yourself, because I think this plays a big role in taking that data and not letting it mess with your head. Number one, we do recommend weighing yourself daily. And some people say they don't like to do it because they see the scale go up and down and it freaks them out. But think of it this way. If you see the scale go up and down, that should tell you that your weight can fluctuate quite a bit on a day-to-day basis. And that way, when you do hop on the scale and you do see a kind of spiked or higher number, you don't freak out because you know weight can fluctuate up and down. Another way to observe this, if you want to do it as kind of a test, is weigh yourself first thing in the morning and weigh yourself at the end of the day and just see the difference between just 2 times a day. And that brings me to my next point. Weigh yourself every morning, first thing in the morning, before you have anything to drink, before you get dressed, so weigh yourself completely naked, and after you've used the bathroom. Now, I hope this isn't TMI, preferably after a bowel movement, but at least after you go pee. I know that not everybody has to go first thing in the morning, but you can at least go pee and you weigh yourself consistently having done that. Here are some things not to do. Don't weigh yourself after meals. Don't weigh yourself multiple times a day. Don't weigh yourself at different times of day on different days of the week. So make sure you're always weighing yourself first thing in the morning when you wake up. Don't weigh yourself first thing in the morning today and then at noon tomorrow and 3 o'clock the next day and 7 a.m. the day after that. Find a time that you can consistently do it. Now, I know all my viewers that work rotating schedules are saying, what about us? What if some days I sleep overnight? Some days I sleep during the day? Here's what I would say to you. Find the time of day that's most consistent for you just waking up and weigh yourself on those days. And don't weigh yourself on the other days. And I know I just said a moment ago that weighing yourself every day is important, but honestly, you can probably get away with weighing yourself as little as 3 times a week. But you do want to do it at least a few times a week. That way you can see a trend. If you only weigh yourself once a week or once every other week, you're not going to really be able to see a trend. Because let's say, for example, I get up one morning and I'm super dehydrated because I went out drinking with some friends the night before and the alcohol just dehydrated me. I'm probably going to weigh in light. Now, I don't weigh myself, let's say, for a week, and then the next time I weigh myself is the day after I went out with friends and had a big fried food dinner, and I had tons of sodium, and sodium makes you retain water. So now I'm bloated, and I get on the scale, and I'm way heavier than I was a week ago, and I think, oh my God, my training is not working, my nutrition's not working, I need to rethink my whole strategy. But in reality, if I'd weighed myself every single day, I probably could have seen a trend and known that, okay, I just had some salty foods last night. That's why I'm heavier today, because the day before that and the day before that and the day before that, my weight was more consistent. But you need to not let the scale mess with your head. It is just a number. It is just a tool that we use to measure progress. It's not the only tool. It's not even the best tool. It's just the simplest, probably the cheapest, and definitely the most convenient. And that's why we use it. So let's recap. If you've gained muscle but burned fat, it's probably going to cancel out your net weight change. So if that has happened to you, remember, you are living the dream. Try to weigh yourself consistently and use it as an analytical tool. And number 3, don't let it get to you, because the scale is not the end all be all. And I will leave you with this. Studies have shown that people that weigh themselves frequently do better at losing weight and keeping it off. Because even if you fall off the wagon with your nutrition or your training or both, if you continue to weigh yourself, having what's going on in your body will be in the forefront of your mind. So you are more likely to get back on the wagon before things get really out of control, rather than someone that just stops weighing themselves and therefore they're never consciously thinking about what's happening to their body. And I think we've probably all been there, where we think everything's all good and we go to put on that one pair of pants or that one shirt and suddenly it doesn't fit anymore. So maybe weighing ourselves every day, even if we're not training and exercising and eating properly all the time, can keep us from getting to that point where we throw on that piece of clothing and we think, what the hell happened? I'm Tony with Architect Fitness, and we'll see you guys next time for another Mindset Monday.